Day 20, consistency. Money often costs too much. Think about it. Think how often we trade our time, energy, and even peace of mind for the promise of more. Sometimes the pursuit can feel comforting, but it's like building a mansion on sinking sand. You're losing out on so much sometimes, missed connections, just missing out on family time, all for the promise of potential more. I'm going to get that promotion. I'm going to work all these hours. I'm going to do this. I'm going to miss family time. I'm going to work late. That does have its time, but what is true wealth? Things that have true meaning, meaningful connections, and actually investing in them. Now, there is a season where you need to work. I preach that. Work is very important. Work ethic, working extra if needed. But if it's all for the promise of more that you can't guarantee and you're losing out on these things that mean the most or that you say mean the most, what is it truly worth? What is the true cost? If you're losing your peace of mind and going crazy and stressed out at your job, is there a way to go get a different job that doesn't cause as much stress? You will be stressed always. That's part of life. But if it's costing you to where you're getting home and your family's just getting the leftovers of you because you're so physically drained, you don't have time to spend with your significant other. You don't have time to sit down at a family table. You don't have time to spend time with your kids, help them with homework, read them a bedtime story. Because one, you're either still working or you're so drained that you're emotionally and mentally not able to. Is it worth it? Is putting food on the table worth it? And half the time you're not even putting real food on the table. You start ordering McDonald's and DoorDash because it's just easier to do because either you or your significant other don't want to cook. So what is the true cost? What are we really trying to pursue? If you're not able to ever see your kids or your significant other, or you're missing sports games, band practice, that type of stuff because of it, is it worth it? That's a decision you have to make. So many people spend time making a living apart from their significant other versus spending and making a living together. And that's why husbands and wives, they can either figure out a way to build a business together or, one of them stays home while the other one works, and they kind of balance out the home work life and things like that. Usually have a better relationship than both that are spending and working the clock and stuck on the hamster wheel. And then kids are in school all day, and then you all get home, you're all exhausted. So you have some, small talk that's not even meaningful. And you just stay in this loop over and over and over, and nothing good comes from it. And you're drained, you don't have no energy, you don't have no time because your best hours, your best mind, you're using on your work. Now, I'm not demonizing jobs. Like I said, we have to work. You're either working or working a business. Working a job, working a business. You're not ever doing anything else. And if you are, you're probably not watching this video. So just think about it. What is the true cost? What are you really willing to sacrifice? But, I do think that money is important. Wealth is important. Providing is important. But if you're doing it with the wrong intentions, like, I'm going to be a millionaire no matter what. I'll work 100 weeks. I'll never see my wife and kids, or I'll never see my husband, whatever it is. Truly, what is the worth? Because when you have that money, what regrets will you have? Let's say you do become a millionaire. Let's say you get to your goals, but you're age 40, 50, 60, and you realize, dang, I never saw my kids. Like, yeah, I provided for them. I got them sent off to college. They got to play sports and didn't have to worry about, buying equipment, buying cleats, buying basketballs. But dad was never in attendance. Mom was never in attendance because we were too busy working. We were too busy chasing the dollar bill. What, is that how you want to remember? Is that what you want to look back on from your kid's childhood? Is how you didn't spend time? They were provided stuff. You got pictures of them, but you never see them. You're missing just all the special moments because you're so strapped into this job or this way to make money. It can even be business. Like you're a small business owner or you're a big business owner, but you're putting in 80 to 100 hour weeks. And, I do think sometimes that has its worth. If you're in a startup, if you truly do want to be a business owner, like, you're going to have to put in extra hours, but make sure that why you do what you do, has a purpose. It could be to build a family legacy, but how do you intertwine your relationships into that? How do you intertwine your physical health into that? Can you walk and hit a gym or build an office with, some dumbbells in it, a walking treadmill, something with your kids and wife? Are you able to go to the park and do some business, some work things, read a bedtime story, then work later at night, cut out that 5 to 8, that 6 to 9 p.m. slot, and that's, hey, this is for family. I'll do all my work, my extra work from 9 p.m. to 1 a.m. or whatever it is, so that you can dictate and dedicate that time for them, just so that you're not, wasting it. But let's go back to even the individual. Is your job stressing you out to where you don't have time? You're physically drained. You don't even have time for you. You don't even have time to think. You don't even want to shower when you get home or nothing. You just want to lay in bed and that's it, because you're working so many hours. Or maybe you're even working a 40-hour week, but your job is so stressful, your boss is so demanding that it just drains you. I've been there. Now, I was working more than 40 hours and I was very miserable. I was very unhappy. When I showed up to work, I had a smile on my face. But every day after work, I just slept. I stopped going to the gym. I was going to the gym maybe once or twice a week, which I go to the gym 5-6 times a week minimum. But I was so drained. I was so stressed. My back and everything was just, my neck, everything. I just felt so much pressure to perform and to do things, and had a very demanding boss, and it just made it tough. So obviously I have to work because I had bills to pay. I have things to do. I have obligations, and we all get stuck in this. But how do we overcome it, or how do we get out of it? Whether it's trying to get out of the job and find another job. But sometimes we get those golden handcuffs where you get a certain pay rate and your lifestyle has increased to a level where you need that just to sustain. You're still paycheck to paycheck. You got a $20,000 raise, but you're still paycheck to paycheck because, one, inflation's up and always goes up. But two, your expenses raised. You got a new car, or you bought a bigger house, or got a better apartment, or you like to buy stuff and you work so hard, you want to, enjoy some of your stuff. Maybe you go out more now because on the weekends, that's the one time you do get to rest, or you want to buy a better wardrobe and clothes. Maybe you're a sneakerhead and you want to buy new shoes. But now your expenses have raised, and now you're just stuck on that hamster wheel. You're stuck in this loop, and you got the golden handcuffs. You can't quit. You can't just leave, because how are you going to pay all your bills? You don't want to get your car and house. You don't want to be evicted or get your stuff repossessed. So make sure you're finding balance. Just make sure the money you're making or the money you're pursuing is worth it. Make sure that you have your individual physical health, mental health at the level you need it to be at, to have balance, to structure it and not get burned out. This is where burnout comes from. But then make sure you have things settled at home with family, whether you have kids or you have a significant other, or maybe you're just boyfriend and girlfriend right now. You don't even have kids yet. That's still sacred time to build a real relationship. But all these things in life, and work's one of them, and finances is one of them. But we wonder why a divorce rate is so high, why it's skyrocketing, why people don't even want to get married anymore. Divorce rates have gotten so bad, and marriage has been so bad, because we don't have time to even invest in our relationships. We don't have time to actually do the things that we say we want to do. We get in this work, eat, sleep state, and then we fill it in with, okay, we'll watch a little bit of Netflix. Yeah, we can go on, one trip a year and, complain about how much it costs. We can, send the kids off to school and never really see them. Like, we forget what's really important, it seems. And obviously, we have to work. Like, I work a job. It's part of it. But how do you find balance? How do you find purpose in it? How do you make sure that you're building your mansion on a solid foundation, so that when you do get that $1 million, you do land that high six-figure job, that you didn't lose or sacrifice your family or yourself in pursuing it? How do we keep this to the forefront of our mind? So I challenge you to think about this. When you're drained, maybe it's time to leave that job. Maybe it's time to find something else. Maybe it's time to switch positions within there. Maybe it's time to have an honest conversation with your boss. Like, hey, I love working here. I love you being my boss. I want to help this company grow, but I need less on my plate at this time. I need less responsibilities, or hey, maybe we should hire somebody else. And the conversation might not go anywhere, but at least it's worth having. And if it doesn't go anywhere, maybe it's time to leave. Maybe it's time to find something new. Maybe it's time to start your own business. Like I said, that's kind of counteractive to what I'm saying, but if you can't make an environment work, it's time to switch your environment or create your own environment. And that's where I say there are seasons where maybe you do need to work a 40-hour job, and then on the side you're working another 20 to build your own brand or your own business, and you are putting in 60-hour works. But if you know the purpose is worth it to provide for your family, and maybe you can end up leaving that job and now you do have more time to spend with your family during a season, that's important. You're able to do that because you know what it's willing to cost. But some people get in this cycle and they're in it for 10, 20 years and their kids are grown and they forget. Because the average person spends most times with their kids during the summer when they're out of school. That's just like the average. I mean, most people spend more time looking at their coworkers than their family. That's insane to think about. We're all stuck in this system, it seems. So how do we make it worth it? How do we balance it out? How do we make it, work for us? So just think about that. Sometimes money costs too much. Sometimes the pursuit of building something or trying to get promoted does cost too much. How do we level out? How do we make sure that's the goal and the path that we want to take versus, hey, no, this is worth it. This is going to provide. I'll work 60 hours a week because my wife can be a full-time stay-at-home mom. She can watch the kids. She can homeschool. They will still get that love of nature and nurturing. And then when I come home, I can still do that. And then maybe I can set my schedule to where on the weekends we have family time. It's not just quality. It's not just quantity of time. There is quality of time. And sometimes, working and it's part of it. Sometimes you do get that one dedicated night or weekend to spend with them, and you can still create beautiful memories and beautiful relationships through that. So keep this in mind. Money often costs too much. Remember, what is true wealth? Is there meaning in it? Is there meaning in those relationships? Is it meaningful to pursue and do? And I wish you peace and blessings on the journey.